from RB, apart from obviously conceding dying. But the one thing that they need to maybe do is just draft winning lanes. And as we get into pick and ban phase right now, I want to see if they actually kind of revolve around that strategy more than the Twitch.
I actually think it was a bit one-dimensional. If I'm completely honest, you know, you had the potential of the split push Kennen, but LeBlanc with the teleport really negated that. It made it very difficult for Kennen to overextend in areas of poor vision. And it was very one-dimensional around the Twitch. I feel like it was too one-dimensional around the Twitch, and that really shot Schalke in the foot here. It is a best of 2, however, so they can come back and level this series, but RB will be looking to get sort of a big start to this tournament and getting a 2-0.
Oh yeah, being able to win 2-0 in the first week against who a lot of people have said are your toughest opponents is such a statement from RB. They have come out swinging, they want the LCS. There's a lot of teams actually in CS who are very much saying LCS this split, LCS this year, and to do that you have to win this split, obviously. Now, bans coming out already. Jace, Rakan, Thresh from Schalke, and it's Elist, Lucian, and the Zac from RB.
Zac, I think RB will not make the same mistake that their opponents did in the first draft. Zac first off the table, he is so powerful right now, and actually Schalke going to prioritize a flex pick here.
Yeah, the Galio being picked up I think is pretty big for them, and Kadra, I'm sure he knows what's up with that Galio. It's been played amid an absolute ton over in Korea, and I'm not surprised to see that kind of show its head around here as well. Obviously he's been picked up in North America, literally everywhere now. They're going, okay, Galio's a top laner, but wait, he's a mid laner.
Yeah,
and a support.
And a support.
The interesting thing about Galio mid is that he's got great anti-mage potential. Obviously he's scaling so well with magic resist in certain areas of his kit. He's got great wave clear. He can roam bot and top quite easily with his ultimate, and also allows you to facilitate a carry top laner while still retaining a front line that doesn't have to come from the jungle.
And there is the lock for RB. They're going to take the Kennen for themselves and Varus, so very much means Kennen's going to be played up towards that top side. Into the Galio we would expect, but of course, as you say, Kadra could take that towards mid.
Yeah, you could do. And you mentioned obviously a little bit before that, last time Schalke's team composition was very one-dimensional. Starting out with strong, something like a Galio is going to be really big here.
3D because he jumps off the map.
Technically, I guess so, yeah. Beautiful camera work, by the way, when that happens.
Cheers, medic.
What I'm here for.
Lee Sin is going to be the lock-in for Memento there, as well as a Tahm Kench. So Tahm Kench, I wasn't too surprised at all to kind of see that go quite hotly contested, and taking that one off the board is going to be pretty big for them, because realistically, there's going to be a lot of targets for Foul and Cedrin to lock down there, and just being able to keep upset safe is going to be their #1 priority.
You imagine RB on this next rotation of bans, though, ban out something like a Twitch as sort of a hyper carry based AD carry, because you know that if you give a hyper carry marksman over to Schalke, they've already got a part of the combination that makes it so easy to protect them. And actually, the interesting thing is only the support prioritized here from Schalke. We often see AD carries prioritized so heavily in the first rotation because it's easy to limit that marksman pool on that second rotation of bans.
So the question is, RB we think is probably going to go AD carry in their bans. Where does Schalke look? Do they look mid? Do they look at junglers? Because already Elise and Zac are taking off the cards. Lee Sin taken away as well. Do you go for something like a Graves ban? Do you go towards a Warwick ban or something as well?
I think Warwick ban might be a little bit left field, in all honesty. I think actually coming towards mid lane here, just assuming Smitty J is going to take the Galio up into the top, into the Kennen actually is going to be a little bit better for them. But I mean, a Katarina ban here for Schalke, just focusing Magic Felix's champion pool here is going to be pretty big, but I'm actually quite surprised RB decided we're actually going to ban away the Twitch this time, in all honesty.
Well, it makes sense with the Tahm Kench, right?
Yeah, you've got Tahm Kench, Galio there to protect him already, so the Twitch ban kind of makes sense, get rid of those AD carries.
You'd probably hear, yeah, another kind of almost hyper carry marksman here. It stops the double protect of the Xayah Tahm Kench as well, because Xayah able to protect herself with her ultimate, and then obviously has the backup of the Tahm Kench there too, limiting that marksman pool. Like we said, if you don't pick your marksman up in first rotation, it's very often you're going to have that limited. But very popular marksmen still left available, by the way. Caitlyn's still there, Kalista still there, Ashe even still there too. Those are some marksmen that we've seen a lot of.
Ashe doesn't tend to get played in Europe, and actually I talked to Sven about this, and he said they don't get played because AD carries in Europe like to make the big plays, and Ashe just doesn't do that. It's like, okay, you can be utility. No, I want Kalista, I want Vayne, I want things that can go aggressive.
Interesting stat, the Ashe is the lowest win rate of any AD carry that hasn't been played more than once in the AD carry position. So Cog and Lucian have a 0% win rate in the AD carry position. Ashe has the second lowest win rate at 7 games at 29%.
No, speaking of Cogmore,
good stat.
Yeah, that's good stat. It's going to get locked in. Cogmore there. I think Ashe actually honestly would have been pretty good. There's a lot of squishy targets on the side of RB with that Xayah being locked in as well for Kasing, but having that Cogmore up in front again, Schalke putting a lot of their eggs into the upset basket here, just going to have to get this Cogmore rolling.
Well, they had the machine working in game 1 to some degree here. They've now added a cog into that machine and are looking to try and make it work once again. They're going to pick the Jarvan last, so it is going to be Galio mid. And your Twitter poll is proven correct, Jaws. We saw Galio mid first before seeing the Azir. I think it's a bit unfair because I only expect Blanc to play Azir and so he's playing in second series, whereas Galio mid has been brought out in the
Maybe
first
if it was
series.
the other way around, it would have been wrong.
Interestingly as well, LCK have not yet played Galio top on 7-11. They've only played Galio mid. It has been basically, for the most part, from stats that I picked up before, I haven't registered the games from yesterday and today, but it has been only Galio mid. So this is something that Cadrel has taken from that.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the picks though, because we had a Jarvan locked in for Schalke. At the moment, it's being played in support, but it's not going to be. RB actually went for the Olaf and the Gangplank, and this is Gangplank mid, not Gangplank top.
I really like this because traditionally Galio does well into AP mages, like we said before, having that magic resist scaling, putting in something like a Gangplank in there, he suddenly has to build something that goes away from where his kit scales from, and actually traditionally the AD carries or sort of AD based carries have always been very good into Galio, so I really like this move from MagiFelix. It really opens things up for them. An interesting sets of compositions coming through as well. I mean, again, Schalke seem to have gone 0 damage but Cogmore, which is very similar to what we saw last game.
If you know Upset should carry, just do it. G2 do it. Upset actually went with G2 to MSI, so they're obviously just saying, okay, Upset, you've learned from the best. Just put you on Cog, mate. Easy peasy.
I like that link. I like that.
A little bit of narrative for you guys in the back line. George, talk to me about the competition coming out from RB.
So RB have got this Gangplank in the mid, like you said. I really like it too. I mean, coming up against the Galio, and one thing actually that does have armor on it, which we've seen a lot of Galios pick up, is actually Gargoyle with Stoneplate. So that's going to be quite interesting to see if he does prioritize that into the mid. Do you pick up that little bit of armor early? A lot of these tank items are quite favorable and just kind of generous in terms of the build path.
J4 will do it as well, eventually. So J4 generally goes to Gargoyle's warplay as well. You can just jump in. But you'll expect he'll go a bit more armor shred. I
look at the RB lineup and I say, where's the AP? You've only got the Zyra, who, yes, we saw it got revitalized last game, maybe get a Leandries later on, but early on, you're all AD. Gargoyle Stoneplay works so well into that. We can see Randuins, just see Glacial Shrouds coming out all over the shop. There's such a possibility for Schalke to get to that late game, which is what they want with the Cog.
I mean, the one big question here is that do they need a lot of AP if you've got a really fed Gangplank that can almost one-shot a Cog? That's the kind of question there. If you do manage to take him out of the fight fairly quickly, you're not going to really have too much of a problem dealing with someone like a full tank Galio and a half 50-50 Jarvan as well.
Randuin's first item Cog, I believe, man. I believe.
So Schalke have got an incredible teamfight composition once Cog comes online. So much CC, so much frontline, so much protect for the Cogmore. You look at what Schalke have done. They've basically gone, we will 1-3-1 this game. We are going to 1-3-1 this game. We've got a Kennen and a Gangplank. They will split push. They will force things away from a teamfight area. It's going to be up to Schalke to get advantages in the early game to force RB to actually make moves in teamfight scenarios around the things like Dragon, Baron, Towers, and actually with a Cogmore, that's unlikely to happen.
But do Schalke care if it gets to late game? That's the question, I think, because you've got Galio who can just wave clear with Winds of War. You've got Cogmore who can just stand in mid lane. You've got Jarvan who deals okay in split push. Not amazing, I would totally agree. Not as good as Gangplank, but still okay. Do they care if they just wait the game out to 35 minutes and then say, okay, we got Cog, have fun, guys? It stands here.
You are very right, because Cogmore still is and always will be the king of the late game marksman. He is absolutely dominant in that late game. And with that amount of protection for him on the side of the Schalke composition, if this gets to that point, he will shred people. He just will shred people. It's going to be up to RB. If they are looking to end this early, they need to get that advantage. They need to push those side lanes and make it unbearable, for Schalke to react on the map and eventually just kind of split push them to death.
Well, one big thing they do have is a lot of lockdown, right? They've got the Cataclysm, and that's just kind of free and easy pickings. You have Galio there, you've got Hero's Entrance you can use from the sideline, or almost to a side wave as well if you want to go for a split. And it's going to be very easy for them to kind of protect him. He can just jump in there, go, okay, I'm just a massive beefy gargoyle, you can't really kill me, and Cogmore's just going to rain down a lot of damage. You're going to have to rely on MagiFelix getting some nasty ghost barrels off to actually try and just force this Cogmore. And the entire composition of Schalke away from their front line.
The really interesting thing about the RB composition is they haven't really got that many ways to get to that backline. Kennen with this build path is not a burst-heavy top laner. He's not going to run to the backline and deal with Cog. You've got to get through Jarvan, you've got to get through Tahm Kench, you've got to get through Galio, which is all very difficult to do without anybody that's got insane gap-closing ability. I am looking at Schalke and saying, if they can weather the split push of the 1-3-1, they are putting themselves in an excellent position in this game.
Can I just introduce you to our Lord and Saviour, Olaf? It's
Thor's
son, just runs straight at that backline. We have seen in the past, though, when you have an Olaf who is looking to isolate a backline, if you split him off from the rest of his team, it can really make it struggle, because you've got one Olaf here, and then you've got a taunting Galio in the front line. We'll have to see how these two teams face off on the Summoner's Rift. It's game 2 of the summer split here in the European Challenger Series. RB take on Schalke. RB looking for their first 2-0. Schalke looking to see perhaps if they can equalise this one in a 1-1 draw.
Tom Kench does really well into Olaf running into the back line. Just to follow up on your point, Medic. I mean, if Mujin runs through the front line using his ultimate, I mean, obviously you can't get through Smitty J, so Smitty J can actually just lock an Olaf down in that wall. You might be able to Ragnarok, but it doesn't mean you can break through literal earth breaking up from the rift. Looks like RB making exactly the same moves they do every game. 5-man in the spot lane.
I am truly shocked. They are looking for Upset, but once again, just walks his way away, waddles away. Thank you, Upset, by the way, for not playing Pug more. Makes me very happy to not have to listen to those sound effects for the next 30 minutes or so.
I quite like that skin.
I think it looks... No, I can't even say that. I think it looks okay. I think it looks like... It's an interesting skin, and I can see why people like it, but it does not appeal to me and my lore sensibilities. I'm very... I'm an advocate for a skin that is fitting to the champion that it is.
You're not saying that pugs don't come from the void?
No, that is exactly what I'm saying. There are no dogs in the void.
I'm not going to... What do I do?
13 out of 10,
I have been
good
searching
pupper.
for void dog breeders my entire time thinking
That's where you've been going wrong, mate.
Man, yeah.
They don't have any puppers on the void.
Isn't like Cogmore a pupper of the void though? He's just like really hungry all the time.
It's just like a void monster though. Are puppers always hungry? I don't know, man. Puppers go to heck. They don't go to the void. They go to heck. Have a hecking good time. Does a good pupper now. Let's have a look at these starts. So Memento starting over to his Razor Beaks. Mujin instead going for the blue start by himself, allowing that Zyra some time in the lane to get the plants up. Kissing once again sitting on the plant sorcerer in that bottom lane, looking to try and harass down Upset as much as possible.
They already have that advantage again. It is a lane that Cedrian and Kissing are going to be dominant in. You don't push very heavily with a Cogmore and a Tam Kench. You're always going to have that advantage. Cedrian on the Varus, good wave push in his own right, and then you have Kissing to back him up as well. This should be a lane that you think that RB will look to exploit, and again, they haven't got the Zac this time round, but Mujin at level 6, very good at tower diving in his own right. Looking for Memento to potentially put some pressure on for Smitty J in this top lane, by the way. Good way to lock down Kennen is with that Jarvan. You get that engaged potential coming out, and then Memento jumps in, looks at that executing blow with the Sonic Wave. I think a lot of work for Memento to do this game here, Medic.
I want to see a lot more from Memento early on. Like, he needs to be the catalyst that actually snowballs this team. And as much as we say, yeah, if they get to late game, it's fine. You are playing into the Gangplank, you are playing into the Kenny, you're playing into people who can just burst through Upset. And on Lee Sin especially, Memento's early game is so paramount to Schalke's plan of action throughout this match.
Pedro just farming up in this mid lane.
Memento has smite. Mujin does not. Memento jumps in, steals it away, and now looking for a fray onto Mujin. Will just push him back and then jump his way away with the blast cone.
Good start for Memento. Pedro going in onto Magi Felix here.
We'll get the taunt off with the shield of Durand, but Magi Felix trades back in, has Thunderlords himself looking for that harass in the lane.
Pedro just going to waltz away on this Galio.
Does Galio waltz?
What do you think he does?
It's like a foxtrot. Foxtrot, not foxtrot, that's an entirely different thing. Foxtrot or a tango. I think Galio's much more
It's like a
1-2-3
walk.
Yeah,
it's like
okay.
a 1-2-3.
Maybe it's a 1-2-3. Waltzing his way in the mid lane then. Magi Felix trying to answer with a sea shanty of his own.
Look at him. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Yeah, but I could also just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It's the same. There's no intonation on his steps, Six Scoundrel.
It's true. He's just a 1-2 step, isn't he? Really?
Yeah. At the moment, he's trying to sidestep Magi Felix barrels in that mid lane tile, pushing back. Smitty J up towards the top side, has a slight CS advantage, but there's a big wave for Smitty J to catch underneath his tower.
Schalke are going to want to do nothing fancy, realistically, in the early lane. Good ward coverage, will spot out Mujin here. He will put down control ward, just to make sure that he retains vision of that area. Schalke will have to remain careful now. Give that pressure back over to Cedrian and Kissing. Magi Felix and the rest of the RB roster will be just looking to get advantages where they can in this laning phase. You need to put pressure on a Cogmore-based composition early. You don't want to let him get to that late game. And all the protection that he's got is going to be so difficult if you do get to that stage in the game to actually even pressure Upset, because there are so many ways to negate huge damage bursts coming out. You can negate a barrel with a Devour. You can negate Mujin running in with a Devour as well. Tam Kench, great pickup for Noskeren in this basic composition.
But even in the last game, they still had the Tahm Kench and weren't able to keep upset safe later on. Magic Felix has got his Sheen. He's used the teleport back towards the mid lane. Once again, we see those double TPs out of these mid laners. Both of them going for the more roaming-based champions.
Yeah, well, Kadra will be roaming. He's got great ability to protect against tower dives in that bot lane as well. You know, if you are feeling like Mugen and Val are gearing up for a bot lane tower dive, especially with that Gangplank ultimate, which can influence the map in that kind of way, all Kadra needs to do is just use that ultimate, jump down onto that top bot lane tier 1 turret, and try and protect them from any potential moves. And remember, this is, again, trying to protect this Cogmore as much as possible, get into the late game. Kadra actually having a pretty decent time here in the laning phase thus far. Has had to itemize into early armor as you would expect. This is, I think you're going to see almost next to no magic resistance come through. There'll be maybe a token magic resist item for Kasing eventually at some point, but this is going to be a very armor-heavy composition for Schalke because they can see so much pressure coming in form of AD, threats, Cedrian, Thal, Magic Felix, Mugen in his own right as well. Might even see a Thornmail this game, you never know.
Schalke already playing for pride in this tournament. As much as it might seem a little bit early to say, they are the team that went undefeated last split. They're the team that were looking to just get all the way through Challenge Series into the playoffs and then actually be able to make it out of playoffs this time. But they've fallen at the first hurdle in the form of Red Bull. The upstarts, the up-and-comers, all the way through the open qualifiers, through the CSQ, absolutely dominating their opponents there. 3-0 in their playoff matches, something I'm sure Schalke 04 would have liked to be able to replicate last split. And now RB are doing a lane swap up towards top.
Wow, that's an early lane swap coming out here. They want to take advantages in the laning phase, like we said. Thal and Mugen coming through. Will Smitty J realise this is happening? He is just...
Wait, he's going to realise now because there's 4 members under his tower.
That was a great move by RB. They knew they weren't going to get much love in that bot lane. It wasn't really getting the advantages they had in the previous game. And an early rotation, they are going to look to pressure this top lane tier 1. The response from Smitty J and Memento should happen soon.
Yeah, how quickly does Schalke 04 react to this? Because at the moment they have 2 members still bot pushing in. If they can react quickly enough not to lose this tower, this actually goes in their favor. Memento is here, as is Kadril, just around the corner. And they clear out the second wave. The next wave is a long, long way away.
Okay, we're looking at the bot lane as well. Upset and Noskeren, obviously Cogmore, not the biggest damage threat in the early game here. Has only got that Vampiric Scepter and the dagger, but will be trying to return and retaliate. It's only going to take a couple more, maybe even just one more wave for Red Bulls. And obviously...
RB get it off this wave, I think.
Yeah,
they just have to back away. First Tower of Blood, 8 minutes in. Over to RB. They take with it a 1,000 gold lead. RB looking pretty unstoppable. Magic Felix actually coming all the way down to bot here to stop this from Schalke. Talked about adaptability a lot in the build-up to this tournament. Teleport's going to come in as well just to distract Upset. Magic Felix actually might look for the chase. Might burn a flash. Doesn't do it. And Tal completes his TP. Kasing's been caught out, and that's first blood to Schalke 04.
I really like that move from RB to move up to the top lane. They were not going to get much love in that bot lane. They were finding it very difficult to get the advantage that they had in the previous game. So they decided to create the space themselves. They knew that Thal was shoving in Smitty J. Smitty J had backed off. It was a great rotation by the RB roster up to the top lane to get first tower blood. And that rotation of Magic Felix meant that Schalke were not able to respond with their tower of their own. And they are basically now, without having won the laning phase to a huge extent, they are basically forcing the 1-3-1 right now. They are getting it into the 1-3-1 position. They know that that's where their composition has its strengths. They forced the hand of this game. They said, okay, we're not going to win this with jungle presence. We're not going to get a tier 1 tower dive because of the threat of Kadril roaming down. It was a very heads-up play to not take that risk of a tower dive in the bot lane and make the rotation initially, preemptively, and force this 1-3-1 where they could look to seek some serious advantages.
Some interesting choices made in the 1-3-1 though. They put Magic Felix up top to try and deal with Smitty J. They say, okay, Tal, you stay bot, you take on the 2 members of Schalke 04, and we'll put our AD carry and our support mid up against Kadril.
You would have thought that maybe Magic Felix would have been in the lane that required a bit more wave clear, but obviously with Kadril staying in the mid lane right now, he's got excellent wave clear in his own right. You know, you're never really going to have an excellent matchup for Magic Felix. He had the good matchup versus Kadril initially. Look at that, that's a big wave clear from Kadril.
Yeah, Winds of War is just slightly overtuned at the moment in terms of being able to clear out waves. One of the reasons we're seeing Galio mid so much as well. RB are setting up vision down towards this red side jungle once again of Schalke 04. There's a Mountain Drake on the cards if they want it. They're farming up pretty well across the board as well. Even enough between these two teams, only 700 gold in it.
I think RB are going to come stuck here because of how powerful Cadril is in a wave play situation. They are going to have to force the hand by forcing a tower dive of some sort, and the reaction of Schalke is good. Memento and Norskeren coming into this mid lane, and obviously you can see they've got very little work done already.
In all honesty, my worry is for Schalke, if they react with 3 members to mid, they leave Upset by himself down in a separate lane. And all you need is Tile to Slicing Maelstrom in, and Magic Felix can teleport down towards that bottom side as well. Yeah, Tile's going AP as well here, Scoundrel.
This is kind of something that it throws a spanner in the works for maybe what Schalke were expecting here.
We said all armor, even Glacial Shroud and Ninja Tabi already on Cadril.
Exactly, this is interesting. Here we go, Mugen coming through.
And Norskeren is going to eat up Upset, gets him away. Mugen has to run, exhaust use as well, but here's Smitty J looking for the slam dunk straight in. Here comes the Galio as well. Chains of Corruption is going to land on towards Smitty J, but he's still alive. Double Torn on the backside. Tile running across towards the side. He needs to escape up towards the river as well because Magic Felix has not been able to join this fight. Look at the Winds of War eating away at Cedrin's HP. Eventually flashes. RB lose 1.
It was a proactive move by RB, and Schalke get both the Rift Herald and the excellent disengage peel that they have. This is something that we talked about. This is a different level of protection for their AD carry compared to the Twitch in the previous game. Cadril's response, Smitty's ability to lock down the threat of Mugen even despite being in Ragnarok. This is a great start for Schalke here. They are behind in the gold because of that tower, but they should be able to equal things up as soon as physically possible.
I mean, it's interesting choices as well because Magic Felix could have teleported into that fight. Like, Smitty J had already left. Magic Felix could have joined the fight a little bit later and said, okay, we'll take this on, because Memento's not there. Cedrin's just dead underneath tower. Looks like Memento flashed over the wall to get that one, just looking at some of the spells. And they're going to summon Rift Herald as well, so this will be a mid lane tower going down.
He got flash kick. Here comes Rift Herald. Moving in. It's a good response by RB to be able to defend against it.
Yeah, it's not the best timing as well.
Wave's not in their favour. Wave not in their favour, and actually this Rift Herald just going
that's
down.
A poor Rift Herald, in all honesty. Like, you need to use it when the wave's coming in. It felt very much like Memento was like, oh, we got to kill, let's go. And then realised perhaps it wasn't in the best position for him.
Bot lane tower did go down though because of the response from RB, so Schalke pick up their bot lane and eke into the lead now. They actually have the gold advantage on a Cogmore composition. The response in terms of protection has been fantastic. RB, I feel like RB have felt pressured this game.
Yeah.
They, like we said, they forced the 1-3-1 earlier than we potentially would have anticipated. They then look to use Thal in a sort of AP cannon build, not something that we see huge amounts of. He's going down the Protobelt to be aggressive onto the Cogmore. This means he will have a bit more burst in his kit than previously we thought could be the case, and it also gives him a bit more varied damage than that full AD that we were expecting. So they tried to force the issue down there with Upset basically being by himself, but the response from Schalke, even cross-map, is just so good. You have the Tahm Kench ultimate to get into position for Devour, like you saw Cadril, a massive heroic entrance to be able to protect and turn around that team fight. And obviously the response from Smitty J is so good as well, that the re-engage potential, once they've initially batted off RB, is so good here from Schalke. This is the type of protect the AD carry composition. This is not Karma where it's kind of a bit like, does a little bit of damage, does a little bit of shielding. This is basically 3-4 tanks, 3.5 with Lee Sin.
I mean, Smitty J isn't really building tank either. He's done.
Yeah, he will do eventually though. This is the classic build that you generally tend to see on Java, and they'll go for
Black
Titanic,
Cleaver.
Black Cleaver, Titanic Hydra, just like most, like Renekton's for instance. And you know, but innately, Jarvan's got really tanky stats in his kit, right? It is basically everything protecting in terms of CC, zone control, you know, basically flat out protection with a Devour, and then you've got a true hyper carry as well.
Yeah, and Twitch does hyper carry pretty well, but not when you fall as far behind as Upset did in the last game. RB, after opening up the map, have now fallen prey to a few plays from Schalke 04, and I want to bring attention to Memento and to Smitty J, who's off towards the top side here, jumps onto the backline. There is the hero's entrance as well. Cedrian knocked up and knocked down. Kasing will fall to the Winds of War. And this will be a tower falling mid. Red Bull's looking for something though. Tile does have the Slicing Maelstrom. We'll get onto Smitty J. There's one, looking for two if he can get it. Cadril falls low. It's going to be another kill on towards the Galio. Double for Mugen. 2 for 2 trade, with the mid lane tower falling in favour of Schalke.
And now Red RB should be able to push onto this mid lane tier 1 themselves. There is also the Mountain Drake available should they so wish. It's a good response from Schalke there, and you can see the power of an AP Kennen in this kind of situation. Very good at cleaning up the scraps of a kill with that Slicing Maelstrom. But here comes the ultimate from Tahm Kench. They are going to protect this one out. Magi Felix Only on that Trinity Force right now, so not huge damage output. It is a small item spike for him at 15 minutes.
We talked about protecting the AD carry, and Cadra's actually even gone for Iceborne Gauntlet first on this Galio, just to allow... Firstly, it gives you armor. Secondly, it gives you the zone control. Massive punches.
Yeah, massive punches. That's the really satisfying thing about Iceborne Gauntlet on
Truly
the
is a
Galio.
Colossal smash. That's his passive name.
I do know. Thank you, bud. Thanks, bud.
I know sometimes color casters don't like learning names, just like R, Q, E, passive, R.
I know, play-by-plays do it a lot more, but it's a massive synergy with his passive. He's going to hit really hard at this point in time as well, especially you saw the combination between the J4 ultimate and the heroic entrance.
It's called Cataclysm.
Yes, Cataclysm, thanks, bud. Obviously the Cataclysm and the heroic entrance synergy there to isolate a key target, and that is actually Schalke being aggressive with their team composition, you know, even having to provide peeling for the Cogmore, because realistically, like we said, there's not many people that are going to threaten Cogmore on the backline. You have to physically move through a CC-heavy tank composition to get to Cogmore. So Schalke can make these aggressive moves. They actually have the option to be both aggressive and defensive, which their last composition in the last game that we saw them lose to RB with didn't have that option with, because it was all designed specifically to peel for Twitch. Here we go.
Tal's going to get dive, slicing Maelstrom comes out. Look at the damage on the Smitty. That's one going to fall at least. Memento does escape, but in a 2v1, Tal gets himself a kill, and now Magifelix is chasing onto Cadril on the bottom side of the map. Not going to be too much more happening there. Mujin just runs straight in, and that's another kill. He's got Righteous Glory. He's 3-1 on this Olaf, when we were wondering if he'd be able to get past the walls that Smitty J could put up. Well, at the moment, those walls are falling faster than anything.
Well, Smitty J was dead, so...
Yeah, that's good. So the wall had fallen, had it not?
No, but I think right there, that was an interesting move by Schalke, really underestimating the damage output of Thal as well on this cannon.
It's easy to do, though.
It's easy to do with an AP cannon, because we just don't see too much of that nowadays. You know, cannon often sandboxed into this sort of split push AD role. On the AP cannon, he doesn't got a lot of burst potential. There is the power of the Devour just protecting Cogmore from the engage from Red Bulls.
It was just the Stranglethorns used as well from Kasing. 17 minutes into the game, still only a 700 gold lead for Schalke 04, but we said in Picks and Bans they want to scale, they will be happy just waiting this one out. There's a lot of weight though on Upset's shoulders. He wasn't the main carry for the team in the last split. That was more Smitty J, that was more Lulex, it was more Selfie. Now he is the cornerstone of this team and of this composition.
Yeah, he's been given that role as the main carry, and both of the compositions that we've seen from Schalke today, it says a lot about how they have prepared for the Challenger Series. It says a lot about how their scrims have been going as well. And actually what I really like about what they've done in this situation is they've got a bit more freedom for Upset right now. There's a lot more protection. His positioning can be a little bit more lax. Remember, if he gets caught out by an ultimate or a catch from RB, that's it, right? There's no damage. So RB have to make that play. It looks like they're trying to make it now. Note the teleport is cancelled. Memento, I think, spied that one out. He's going to clear the ward.
Still going for this 1-3-1 with Tal up towards the top side. There's not much actual pushing pressure coming out from RB. They tend to be the ones on the back foot a little bit, waiting for Schalke to make the play and then reacting to it, which is the opposite of what we saw in the last game at Scoundrel.
The real issue for RB this game, in their 1-3-1, is when you have a 1-3-1, you often want to shove lanes in, you want to have the superior wave push and dueling potential in your side lanes to push towards a turret and then make a play around that turret, get that global objective secured, and then go on to move on something else on the map. Or you draw attention to one of your lanes, forcing the enemy team to react, or you're just trying to avoid team fighting. And then eventually win through pure split push pressure in the late game because your solo lanes become almost indomitable. Against a composition that scales so well in the late game, we've seen RB make no proactive moves in the side lanes, haven't been able to team fight correctly and properly because they can't actually deal with the amount of CC they have to break through to actually even threaten Upset. And they're actually not able to shove waves in because Jarvan, with a Tiamat and with that Dragon Strike, able to clear waves as quickly as Thal can push them. As is the same with Cadril. Galio, we know, has got excellent wave clear, and with Iceborne Gauntlet on top of that makes it even harder for Magifelix to get those waves shoved in. So right now they're 1-3-1-ing, with the waves pushing towards them, buying time for Upset to farm up to this late game Cogmore. This is exactly what Schalke want.
Red Bulls will need to look to make a play at some point. Upset's got a Wit's End as his second completed item.
Okay, we know this is on Cogmore. Generally, we often tend to see this item, but what I like it even more on Cogmore is because who is going to be the main threat to him in the backline in terms of burst potential? probably the Kennen, right?
Yeah.
If Kennen can get a flank position with that slicing Maelstrom, you basically have Muujin to worry about, which you can deal with the Devour, and the only other person that can really provide a threat to you with this Hextech Proto Belt is Thal, because none of the other members from RB are going to get through their front line, right?
I agree with you, Excandra, and I love your reasoning. I think it's good, solid reasoning. But Wit's End, like, to me, and this might be purely me being not the highest level of analyst, like, why are you building Wit's End when you have no AP damage on the rest of your team? Like, why didn't you just build a Mercurial Scimitar? Does the same thing, gives you more magic resist.
Kog'Maw's got magic damage, right?
Yeah, but like not like build Ginsu's into Mercurial Scimitar, Ginsu's into QSS.
His percentage health-based damage is magic.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's where I'm wrong. Maybe that's where I'm making I just feel like Ginsu's or Runan's first, and then build a Quicksilver Sash does the same job.
Do you know what, Medic? I love these discussions because me and you bond over League theory, and it just gets me really happy.
Okay, please, let's not talk about that. 800 gold difference between the two teams as Schalke step back. RB trying to get vision control over the Baron pit. They do it very quickly. They've got a gangplank and a...
I think what they're trying to do, I think they've learned their lesson now. They have to start forcing things in a 5v5 where they could potentially make use of that slicing Maelstrom ultimate. Here we go. There's a catch up to Kog'Maw.
On to Kog'Maw, and where was Norscaven? Not there. That's a double quickly. But RB, and now they're looking for more. They get the knockback. Norscaven eats up Cadril, knocks him away. Norscaven will get the thick skin out, but RB just chased him underneath the tower. And that is 3 quick kills for RB. They're going to turn their eyes towards the Baron. No jungler to steal it away. Only Smitty J and Cadril to try and do something if they want to stop this.
That was an excellent play from RB, but you have to point fingers at Upset. You just saw RB completely control vision of that Baron pit area, and he waltzes into mid lane. The only way Schalke can lose a team fight is by getting their main carry caught.
Baron low, here's Cadril, gets the taunt off, stun straight away. Baron does fall, and now Cadril's stuck in the middle of RB. He's going to fall as well. 8 kills to 6. RB take the Baron, take a 3,000 gold lead, and the game has begun to swing in their favor.
A single mistake, a single misstep has suddenly put Schalke on the back burner, and RB come flying through. And you know
if only he'd had a QSS, would have been great, wouldn't it?
I know, right? If only he had that Mercurial Scimitar.
QSS and a flash there would have done a world of good for Upset.
If only Norscaven had been next to his carry in the lane when the entire team had been getting vision control of that Baron pit area. But hey, like, you know, let's leave it at that. Let's be perfectly honest. RB were losing the 1-3-1. They weren't getting anything done. They were giving time over to Upset to just farm his way up towards late game. They had to make a proactive decision on the map to force a 5v5 or something similar to give themselves an advantage to run with before Kog'Maw gets to that massive late game. That's what they were looking for there. They get vision control of the Baron pit area. No one from S04 was able to respond, and unfortunately, as much as we hate to say it, Upset made the very poor decision to walk into mid lane, got caught out, and you know, the one thing we said earlier, about sort of 7 minutes ago, we said the only way that Schalke really lose these fights is if Upset is out of position and gets caught. That's the only way. And even then, he's got barriers to prevent that from happening in the form of Norscaven. Unfortunately, Upset was in no man's land without Norscaven, got caught out, and Red Bulls capitalized so well. And now with Baron, they're going to be able to make this 1-3-1 happen even more so, and actually gives them the advantage in lane push now as well.
But how much can they do with the Baron is the question. They're currently 3,000 gold ahead. They have Magic Felix split pushing with Memento just around the corner. The rest of the team's actually coming down. They're going to dive Magic Felix, but TP straight away used by Tull. There's the Cataclysm. Memento jumps in, looking for the kickback. Look at the damage coming out, though. He can't quite get it. And here comes Tull. Memento solo. Slicing Maelstrom used underneath the tower. Cadril and the rest of Schalke have joined the fray. One down. Memento's dead. And they're looking for the tower. RB will be able to pick that one up. Their third of the game. Equalize that turret score. And they reacted just ever so slightly quicker than Schalke 04.
Great response from RB right there to protect Magic Felix with that flash. He baited it so excellently. Memento unable to get the flash kick, I think. He'd used it just previously. The teleport coming through to buy some time. Magic Felix making his way back in. The barrel's coming through. They might even get 2 turrets off this push.
With the Baron, that will be a good advantage for them. Can't do it. Too much wave play coming out from Upset and Cadril. Norscaven was there to protect the Cog as well. Tal brings a lane in towards mid. Top's pushing in favor of RB as well. There's a Mountain Drake on the cards. They'll want to get one of their own, as Schalke picked one up earlier on.
It's still only 2-item Cog, by the way, so it's not exactly like Cog has turned into that powerhouse late game carry that we know and love. And RB, off one play, needed that Baron to help them shove these lanes in. The one issue that we talked about with this 1-3-1 is the fact that, to be honest, Schalke were able to contend with the wave shove of Thal and Magic Felix with, like we said, the Titanic Hydra for Smitty J, they're able to clear waves. Kadril got so much innate wave clear built in on top of that Iceborne Gauntlet. You never actually got any advantages, never got any setups onto turrets because you never actually got there because the waves were getting cleared. Suddenly Baron made this 10 times easier.
Magic Felix unkilled in the first game, unkilled at the moment on that 007 scoreline.
Are you looking to
make a freak die face? Another day.
I knew it! I knew it!
If you hadn't said that it was a freak-based pun, that would have been an incredibly good pun. Hadn't died in the first game, hadn't died in the second game. Oh, gonna die another day.
I looked at your smug face and I was like, oh god, I know what's coming. Oh dear.
Oh dear, indeed. At the moment, probably sitting on quite a bit of gold as well. He's got that sheen, got the Jarum's fist as well. At the end of that is the gold finger, of course. And Memento is going to get caught out. The Strangled Thorns comes down. It's another kill onto the Lee Sin. His early game was strong with Mementos, but this late game has not been anywhere near as powerful.
Continue pushing this side lane here. Suddenly, Baron has opened up a world of pain for Schalke. They had controlled the map so excellently, but a single vision mistake, an upset with all that pressure on his shoulders, a singular position error, and a great execution by Red Bulls has given them a massive advantage now. Opening up a 5k gold lead, suddenly able to push so excellently in all of these side lanes, and Schalke need their team together to make these fights happen. So this is where the split push was designed to have its impact in the first place. You wanted to split this team up from Schalke. You know, they are designed to fight as a 5, fight as a unit to protect the cog more. Suddenly Red Bulls have found their opportunity to split things up. They're going in.
Slicing Maelstrom comes out, they're looking for Noskeren. Upset's been chased off towards the side, did have to use the flash and the heal.
So close to going down as well. Positioning so critical for Upset. Having split the team up, it's a lot easier to get those barrels in the right position, to get those stray arrows to pick off Cogmore. You're thinking of another James Bond. I was thinking
of the same one. I find it quite funny sometimes.
No, it was, to be honest, mate, it was good.
RB are 5,000 gold ahead, as you say. That Baron netted them about a 4,000 gold swing. They get 2 towers off it as well. Still looking to break that inhibitor line, though, and Schalke 04 have once again got the game to the 30-minute mark without losing too much. This is where we need to see that cog come online. Looks like he's going Ginsu's Rageblade next up. No flash on him for the next while, though, and no heal means that Noskeren just needs to sit by that Cogmore. Needs to puppy sit until that Cogmore's bark is worse than his bite.
Not Pugmore right now.
No.
But, you know, like you said, they are working towards... They said Ginsu's Rageblade coming through,
yeah.
So that's going to be another big item. So 3 items on Cog should give him some massive teamfight potential. And now that Baron's gone, you might be able to see Schalke steady the ship. That's what they need to do here. They need to, again, just sort of reset, not get too phased by the fact they did basically just give up half the map off the back of that Baron play. Baron coming up again in 60 seconds. This could be something that RB look to continuously play around. Schalke did not look comfortable trying to get vision back. I think Upset will now be extra careful with his positioning, maybe even too careful with his positioning to gift too much space over to Red Bull's zone. That's probably what they need right now.
I think the benefit is, though, you've got 40 seconds on the Baron, so that's not up for a little while. Yeah. Dragon was just taken, so that's still a long way up from being up, so they can just play really defensive for the time being. Sit back, say, okay, we'll just feed Upset some of this gold, try and get him that 3rd item, and then when his flash is back up, we can look to make a play.
I'm wondering how close he is to finishing that Ginsu's Rageblade. Because if he can get that before this Baron comes online, get that before this Baron fight comes true, we might actually see them contend quite heavily again. Schalke are actually looking for 5v5 fights. You know, they are looking to peel back and protect Cogmore as much as possible. They want to make sure that the pick engages, goes onto one of their tanks that can sustain through it.
I'm sure we can have a look at that gold just to see how much Upset is actually sitting on. He's basically even with his enemy AD carry, sitting on just over 1,000.
And that's what you're expecting, right? Because the tanks are going to be more effective with less gold. So the more you can shovel onto your AD carry, he's about 50, 45 ahead of his opponent. It's kind of what you need to see for a protect the AD carry composition that needs to be the funnel for the majority of the gold on your team. That's a big catch onto Lee Sin.
And a lot of damage onto Memento with Baron live as well. Once again, Memento out of position, still had flash, still had ward jump, just got caught out, and RB can just turn their eyes across towards the Baron. Schalke have to react to this. I feel one more Baron going down is just the death knell for this team.
Again, there is a fairly healthy team right now. Kennen looking for a flank here. Upset could be on the wrong side.
He can just get in the back line here. Tal is there. Here's the slicing mash from Yusuf to Cadril. All of Schalke jump onto him. The damage comes out though. Norskaven still alive. Upset with the hero's entrance will be kept alive. It's a double, but Cadril RB forced back. What a fight for Schalke 04 after RB thought they had the perfect engage.
Oh my word, Schalke able to use those tanks to their effectiveness. What a brilliant stop of Thal's move on that Kennen to protect Upset. And again, Magic Felix looked for the flank onto Upset, but what a heroic entrance from Gali. So I just see you rubbing your own chest.
It's warm in here, Scoundrel, okay?
You know, it was excellent protect. That's what you want to see from this Protect the AD Carry composition. You want to see them peel back, even with 4 members. Kog'Maw doing insane work. Ginsu's has been finished. It's going to be the Baron startup.
There is a blast cone here for Mugen if he wants to try and jump across. Kasing there as well. Stranglethorn's not up. Cedrian trying to get a piercing arrow across the team. Here goes Mugen, shut down! And is that the kill that Schalke needed? They get the Baron, they perhaps can look to push back against this RB juggernaut.
Look at how much work Kog'Maw is doing now with this 3 items. Schalke has hit that position that they want. Gargoyles on Smitty J. You imagine that Kadra will be working that towards himself as well. He's got the Abyssal mask there on his side too. That will only look to increase Upset's damage potential as well.
And now Infernal Drake on the cards as well. Both teams have a mountain. Schalke have the second Baron of the game after RB got the first. And now they've just scaled up.
And look at the way that last fight went. Thal found a flank position onto Upset. Upset managed to get back, and it was protected by Smitty J.
Oh! Upset's so low, Norskaven just about gets him away. There's a redemption as well, but look at the damage onto Upset. The cannon barrage comes out. Magic Felix is looking for the kill. Can't quite get it. One misstep is all it takes, and Schalke lose.
Exactly. He has to be so careful with his positioning. In that last fight, Magic Felix managed to find a flash onto Upset, but again, Kadril comes to the rescue with that ultimate, and this is the power of the CC and peel that you have for this big hitting AD carry now. Schalke in an incredible position at this stage of the game. They're going to get the Infernal Drake for free. And if Norskaven is sat next to Upset, Norskaven realistically, for the majority of this game now, needs to be sat next to Upset, saying, okay.
Press W.
Exactly.
Just press W.
Just press W. If anything happens, I will press W, bail you out of a poor position. That's what needs to happen right now for Schalke, because if Upset gets caught by himself, if Upset is farming by himself, getting greedy in a situation that he shouldn't be, that's it. There is no damage left for Schalke.
And the speed of reaction for Kadril is quicker than that of Magi Felix, which means Schalke can have 5 members anywhere on the map a lot quicker than RB with that teleport. They will come back towards mid, they get a tower down towards the bottom side. Gold basically even between these 2 teams now. Memento chunked out once again. He has been at times brilliant this game, and at times the weak link in this Schalke machine. Upset that main cog, the one they're all rotating around. At the moment, he is showing us why so much trust has been put in him as a player.
Red Bulls need to find the perfect position in these teamfights. You can't afford to just walk in, try and get fouled to get to the backline with that slicing maelstrom. Suddenly, this becomes a lot more about vision control for Red Bulls. They need to be able to find flanks through poor vision from Schalke. And if Schalke want to shore up this game, they need to make sure that they have got excellent vision control of all the areas that flanks could take place, especially around global objectives. This will come down to a lapse in vision. This will come down to a lapse in positioning for Schalke. I don't see any other way in a straight-up 5v5 that Schalke could potentially lose this, unless they engage and Upset moves a little bit too far forwards. Thal and Magi Felix flash forward to get some sort of burst on him. That's the only way I can see this going wrong for Schalke at this point in time. I'm going to touch wood just in case, but...
RBI just clearing out vision for the time being. Tal's up towards the top side. Norskaven with the W. That's a Devour. Just tries to take away the Scuttle Crab. It's all about vision, as you say. Upset gets that. It's extra gold in his back pocket as well. Yet to get a kill this game. Still carrying the team. Looks like he's going towards a Maw of Malmortius next. Still no Mercurial Scimitar. Guess he doesn't really need it after getting Maw and Wit's End.
Yeah, I mean, Mercurial Scimitar would feel like... I think it could be necessary, but it also feels like a bit overkill.
Yeah, with the Tankent, with the Galio, with the kick away. There's so many ways to keep him safe. When you go the Wit's End, you're not going to get a Mercurial Scimitar afterwards. It's a pet peeve. I'm holding on to the hope that at some point my analysis will be correct. They are going to look for this mid lane tower. Magi Felix takes a cue to the face. The tower takes a pounding, and Schalke get their 5th of the game.
Red Bulls could play this slow, by the way.
But they are playing it slow.
Yeah. But they could play these team fights slower by using the poke that they have with the Gangplank barrels, Cedrion's arrows, Thal as much as he can with the shurikens. Try and get as much damage done to the tanks as physically possible, then look for engages when the tanks could be easy to shred. There's another way that they can approach this. They need to be able to deal with that front line. That speaks for itself in volumes. They need to be able to get through this front line. So tank shredding items, Void Staff there. You can see Last Whisper on Magi Felix, obviously combined with the armor penetration that the barrels already have. They need to be able to burst through this front line. So get as much damage done to the front line, who are at the moment, you can see the way that Schalke are positioning. They are positioning quite far forward with their tanks, realizing in their minds that they can take a bit of a beating for being out of position to give themselves more times on things like turrets. If Red Bulls or Abi can get that damage done to the tank front line, and then when it comes to a teamfight situation, actually force a fight, Kadril's the target.
Magi Felix with the chase, not quite able to connect with him, but the front line of Schalke is only getting tankier. You've got a GA Gargoyle Stone Plate finished onto Smitty J. The Gargoyle has a Stone Plate of his own, alongside that Iceborne Gauntlet and the Abyssal Mask. You've got Dead Man's Plate, you've got Black Cleavers.
Did Smitty J... Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, obviously, the BF sword built into...
yeah, GA, yeah. Good old new... I saw it, it's like, it's got a BF sword.
Yeah, no, I was thinking...
And a cloth armor. Anyway. Yes, so there's so much tankiness now on the Schalke team, and RB are going to struggle to get onto the backline. We said it in picks and bans. How do you get onto Cogmore if you're not ahead? And the answer is
you don't.
With a huge amount of difficulty.
Yeah, I think that's the point. And like we said, it's all going to come down to positional error for Upset more than anything, or positional advantage and vision advantage.
Chain of Corruption, Strangled Thorns, they're looking for it, but they can't get through the Devour. Here comes Mujin running in. Smitty J's low. The taunt from Kadril. They jump back in. Memento with the kick. Tal jumps onto the backline. Look at the damage coming out from him. He uses the Zonya's Magi Felix has killed Memento. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Top laner for the jungler, but Upset still alive. And Kadril jumps back in. RB looking for something still. They've got the GA out of Smitty. And they will continue to harass him down with the undertows. RB can't quite get anything more, but they have forced Upset and Schalke 04 away.
Kadril MVP of that fight right there. Red Bulls had it right. They've got a lot of armor penetration. They've got a lot of resistance shred right now. They can actually burst through some of this tank line. Smitty J took a huge amount of damage at the very start of that fight. And Memento, not exactly the tankiest member at this point in time. And suddenly, RB are on the offensive. They forced Schalke back. They're going to pick up at least one turret off the back of this. And with Baron coming up again, it feels like with all of this penetration now coming through in terms of the itemization, they might have their inroad into these fights. And actually, do you know what was so important about that fight was Thal for RB. The one main damage source is Upset. Positionally, if you can force him away from your team by using Slicing Maelstrom and Zonyas, buying yourself and your team some time to tank the shred the tanks, Upset can't get through that area that is controlled by the Slicing Maelstrom. So he is basically, you are disabling the entire Schalke composition by forcing Upset away. But that's a lot of cooldowns used. Flash, everything else used to force Upset away in that particular engage. They're not going to have that luxury in the next team fight around Baron.
Upset doesn't have any cooldowns of his own as well. There's no flashes on Schalke 04 apart from Norskeren. He's the only one sitting on one. Actually, it looks like Upset might be going towards a Frozen Mallet next up.
I think that's the case.
Which makes a lot of sense in these long, drawn-out teamfights. Chase potential is so strong from him there as well.
Exactly. Thal obviously caught out there at the front. If you have the Frozen Mallet, you can basically pick off people that try to get offensive in the team and chase them down very, very readily. But I like this from RB. If you can positionally put Upset into an area where he can only focus a single target, and with the rest of your team, with the armor penetration coming through from the Gangplank with the Ghost Blade and the Last Whisper, and you've got the Liandry's now for Kasing, you've actually got a lot of tank shreds sitting on your lineup.
Upset is doing the Baron at the moment. I'm not sure RB now realise it. They were just doing it from across the wall. They don't care. Like Schalke 04, as long as they have vision advantage, we'll just start up that Baron, because Upset can just lifesteal off anything that's nearby anyway with that Blade of the Ruined King. There's one ward for RB that I think is really impactful. It's at the Schalke 04 blue buff, because they do still have the teleport engage from Tal if they can get a flank off. So if Schalke start the Baron and RB are willing to take the fight, Tal can TP in behind them and look for the fight.
You have to do this very carefully. If Tal can teleport behind, you have to wait until Smitty J has used his combo before you force the engage onto Upset, because then Smitty J won't be able to retaliate and go backwards to protect Upset. You want to try and bait Smitty J into an engage and then use Thal and the backline to pressure. Big wave in the bot lane. Teleport there for Smitty J and Kadril, so either of them could clear this out, but it might be enough time for RB to set up around this Baron area.
And as much as we talked about Upset being a primary carry, and when he gets to 6 items, he's basically unstoppable, you have to remember that RB actually have 5 damage sources, because they've got the Zyra who's building aggressively, now with Liandry's and the Rylai's finished. That is a very, very high damage, high DPM support coming out.
something that I also want to pick up on here, and it is both a benefit and a crutch for the Schalke team composition, is if you can do like you did in the last fight, RB force the Kog'Maw away, you've got 5 damage sources, all of which now have their tank shredding capability.
Yeah.
If Kog'Maw's out of the fight positionally, you can probably clean up the tanks because you have those 5 damage sources. So if you can separate Kog'Maw, those tanks aren't going to be a threat to you, right? Those tanks aren't going to kill you in a 4v4. If you can get, I don't know, Thal to force the Kog'Maw away, in a 4v4 situation, you actually win versus the remainder of the Schalke composition. So that could be a real fight. A Magi Felix.
Memento jumps in, flash away from Magi Felix. Another summoner used, as once again the waves just push into each other. There is no gold between these two teams. This is the sort of matchup we expected to see. RB ran away with game 1, absolutely dominated Schalke 04, and Schalke have struck back in this game, got it to the late game, got it to where they wanted it. And now Upset is the carry for them. RB will look for the engagers. Baron's been started. Tal not quite got flash up, has the slicing maelstrom. Here's the redemption, heals them up. Baron low. Here it comes. Smitty jumps in onto Mujin, onto Magi Felix, but Tal's there with the Zhonyas, and that's already a dead job, and Tal in the front line. Mujin there as well. Norscaran flashes away. Kadel with the jump in. Shield of Durand used onto Tal. 1-for-1 trade. Top laner for top laner. Upset still alive, but Cedrian is putting a lot of damage out himself. Huge play by Kasing. Upset goes down, does get Mujin as well, but Kadel gets blocked by Magi Felix. Cedrian survives. It's 3-for-2 in favor of RB.
What a god, Kasing, making those plays that we know he can make. Flash forward, lock up Upset, who got so big for his boots at the end of that team fight, thought that he was the king of the hill, given that he could potentially clean up the rest of RB. It was the position that he needed to have, given the health totals of the rest of the Schalke lineup, but what a play by Kasing to follow that up. I want to point out something that we have been discussing this for 5 minutes in the lead up to that fight. Thal single-handedly kept Upset out of the fight for at least half of that team fight, and the rest of RB...
Memento's been caught off, he does get the kick back, but Kasing once again with the plays. This is what RB had to do. They had to force the jungler away, and now he has to flash. Gets eaten up by Norscaran, but this means they can start the Elder Drake if they want it. There we go. RB looking for the team fight presence that they need to take down this Schalke lineup.
Thal has been such a gift to the RB lineup this game. If you can force Upset out, suddenly there is no damage. You saw how RB cleaned up Smitty J in that fight. Once Smitty J was isolated because Upset couldn't get into the fight, they basically cleaned up. It's been item spikes after item spike, playing around different stages of the game, but suddenly you're at a point where RB, yes, you're facing a late game Kog'Maw, but you're also facing the rest of the team, which has very little damage to offer. And you've got so much tank shredding capability.
Upset's actually decided, instead of the Frozen Mallet, he's going towards Runans, which I much prefer because of how grouped up these fights are being.
I think you need this, right? You need that Runans to have some sort of team-wide impact, because you are, at the moment, you are stuck focusing Thal. You are stuck focusing Thal on a sideline who Zhonyas and takes you out of the fight. You can't get through the slicing maelstrom. When you get back into a teamfight situation, you need to have the most impact possible. This could be big. This could be really big.
Here we go again. Excadrial Mujin looking for the steal. It's a Baron fight between Schalke and RB. Here's Tal in the backline. Mujin's on the Baron. They do get it on the side of Schalke. Kadel jumps in. Upset still alive. They've got 1-for-1 in the trade at the moment, and there is a Smitty J GA down as well. It was actually Kadriel's GA that was down. Oh no, it was Smitty's Chase.
It was Smitty J.
He managed to jump away. Just Kadel died on top of him at the same time.
There was a massive communication error between Kadel and Smitty J there. I think Kadel went in to try and buy time for Smitty J, but Smitty J was going to get out anyway with his flash.
And that means that RB can push down mid. They had of course they had the Elder Drake, so they did have the teamfight presence. Memento securing the Baron is big for them. Is he actually going to get caught out by Magi Felix? Not quite. RB want to break this inhibitor line. If they can do this, they open up so much more of the map for themselves.
You need to be careful here for RB because you don't have your Zona, which is the Thal on this Kennen. He is gone right now, so Upset actually has a bit more free range with his position. He's not going to be focused as heavily. Here goes Cedrian and Kasing. They are really desperate for this inhibitor turret.
Oh, they do get it. Cedrian comes in right at the last moment to secure it for himself. Smitty J there, look how low Kasing is. Schalke 04 unable to catch on to any members of RB. And once again, it gets to a team fight, and RB are just ever so slightly better than Schalke 04.
What a game this has been, though, Medic. What a game between two titans of the Challenger Series. 45 minutes we have eked to. It's a 6-item Kog'Maw, 3 Gargoyle Stone Plates in that front line for Schalke, and every fight has been so clutch between the two. MVPs for me so far has been Thal on the side of Red Bulls. He's been doing exactly what he needs to do. He buys time for his team to shred the tanks in the front line. keeps Cogmore, the real damage source, out of the fight for the duration of that Slicing Maelstrom, which is enough time to take out one of those said tanks. It's been a real grind between these two teams right now, and one wrong move at this point in time is going to finish the game.
It's a war of attrition between them. They did lose their, RB did lose their bot lane inhibitor tower to the push that Magic Felix was answering when that ban was started. We haven't talked about him too much, but Magic Felix is now on a 6-item Gangplank as well. This is something that time and time again in the top lane, you're just like, yeah, you can't let Gangplank get to 6 items. He's got the Last Whisper, the Yumu's, Infinity Edge, Titanic Hydra, Trinity Force. Like, that is a lineup that is disgusting to have to play against.
And that even damages tanks quite effectively as well because of the barrels and what they can do to armor. So this is just a battle of these late game carries as well. Looks like the Tahm Kench ultimate is going to deliver to the top lane. Upset is there. Thal will get spotted out by a Cogmore Bioarcane.
Living Artillery.
Living Artillery, same thing.
Yeah. Everyone gets them confused. They're basically the same thing. Kadra there, they do get a tower. All of RB have joined up towards this top side. No flash for Tal, so he can't jump in and try and get onto Upset, but look at the damage he'll put out. There's the Chain of Corruption, though. It does land onto Upset. He's going to get devoured. Kadra puts the shield of Duran down. The Strangle Thorns comes out as well. The Redemption used. Schalke no fear on the back foot. Tal parts the Slicing Maelstrom, but just can't connect onto anyone, and that is a huge ultimate to be down for RB here. Schalke can continue the push in if they want.
No one lost in that engage. Usually when that happens and Thal uses his Slicing Maelstrom, someone goes down for Schalke, which buys time for RB to reset and find these engages. Right now, nobody has gone down. And that means now, without that Slicing Maelstrom cooldown, you basically have free positioning for Upset. This is going to be a big fight for Schalke to take advantage of.
Magic Felix is solo, Memento gets him, and that's a kill already onto the Gangplank. Mugen chased off as well. Schalke are doing it. They're going to take the win here. 3 kills, a double for Upset. He comes up big at the last moment. They'll take the inhibitor down as well, and you have to think this is the game. RB only 2 members left to defend. No ultimates on either of them. There is the Nexus Tower falling. Schalke null fear, say not today, my friends. No one beats us twice in a row. They will take down RB and tie the series at 1-1.
What a way between two of the titans of the Challenger Series to go head-to-head. 1-1 in this first best-of-2 series. I think if anybody was to ask how you expected this to go, most people would say 1-1, because we think they are so evenly matched.